Warlord, Saga of the Storm, Into the Accordlands, Story number 17, Missile, by Russel Frans. The fires crackled violently in the two braziers on either side of Gizrak. He always did love the flames. So bright, so violent, so unpredictable. He always felt that fire was the element closest to the nature of goblins. "Oi!" called his servant Mug in his deep voice from way up where his mouth was. "Them elves is comin'." "Eloquent as always, Mug," replied Gizrak. "Huh?" was the hill giant's best response. No time for another intellectual debate with the Hulk. There were forces to marshal, equipment to haul, and one secret weapon to carefully load onto Mug's back. "Hey, Gizrak!" shouted a voice from one of the tents. Mepley, the inventor that had no innovation. "What is it, Mepley?" Gizrak did not try to hide his aggravation about being disrupted on this glorious precipice of his greatest victory. "I told you," Mepley said, exasperated. "You can't use a secret weapon yet. We still have more tests. You're going to blow up poor Mug." Mug stopped picking his nose for a moment at the mention of his name, but returned to the task when he realized nobody was talking to him. "Okay, first," replied Gizrak, annoyed, "I probably won't. And second, if I did, I wouldn't be losing much. Look at the oaf. He's dumb, even for hill giant standards." You know, with the amount of blasting powder you stuffed in there, the thing could go off at any second and level the entire detachment." Again, not much of a loss. Finally, Mepley threw his hands in the air and walked away from the conversation, muttering to himself. Gizrak always hated how careful Mepley was. Careful goblins did not change the world. Careful goblins did not discover all new destruction to be rained down upon their enemies. Careful goblins just huddled in their labs inventing candy dispensers and new odors to mask the privy. Gizrak would be remembered in the histories of the Nothrog legions. He would be remembered as the inventor of the most destructive weapon Fire Rain had ever created. It was a painstaking 2 hours before the Fire Rain detachment took the field across from the elves. These imperious, bone-obsessed paleskins thought they owned the whole blasted world. Gizrak would be happy to give them some portions of Earth, though, specifically the sulfur salts and nitrogen compounds that comprise the blasting powders. Those they could have in abundance. Even the banners of the Undying were arrogant as they flapped about in the wind. Who needed a banner that long? The lead wizard approached the center of the field, a small entourage trailing him. Gizrak motioned for Mug to follow him out to meet them. These chatty elves always loved to talk about themselves a while before they tried to kill things. "I'm Lord Fancy Pants of the House of the Fanciest Pants. I shall speak down to you presently." As the wizard got within earshot of Gizrak and Mug, he scoffed. "Only goblins," he called back to his entourage of guards and one scrawny-looking apprentice. "They don't even deserve the honor of knowing who shall destroy them." "Fine by me, Paleskin," Gizrak called back. "Paleskin?" the lead wizard choked. "You don't even deserve magics as powerful as mine." "Athenos?" The wizard's apprentice stepped forward on shaky legs. "Show him the power of the Undying. Cast this wretched creature down. We shall have his corpse scrub our boots for eternity." Gizrak took a battle stance, drawing his buckler and dagger, but the wiry young elf was quicker than he thought. "Aperios Anastatus!" the elf shouted, and bright green darts materialized and flew from his hands, trailing sparks of luminescent energy. They streaked across the short distance between the two, and Gizrak had barely the time to shield his face before they smacked into him. They stung fiercely. That was about it. The lead wizard turned to his apprentice with a look of disgust. "Really, Athenos? A magic missile at your power level?" "Yeah, magic missile," shouted Gizrak, unable to contain his excitement any longer. "Well, how about a Mug missile?" He flicked his hand at Mug, who knew this signal well. They had practiced it 100 times at least. Mug reached up to the handle at his shoulder and yanked it forward, pulling a thick metal wire with it. A zipping sound indicated the flint wire mechanism worked, and then a loud hiss came from Mug's back. A great burst of smoke shot out behind Mug, and the missile weapon began to move from the launching track, pointing over the back of his head. "It's working," thought Gizrak excitedly. The massive missile gained speed quickly, but as soon as it left the track attached to Mug, it became clear there was a problem, as the missile began to spin end over end impossibly fast. Uh-oh, bent propellant nozzle. It spun wildly as it flew over Gizrak's head. It had not nearly enough forward momentum to reach the ranks of the Undying behind the wizard, as Gizrak had hoped. Uh-oh, lots of blasting powder. Finally, the missile thudded down into the soft earth between the feet of Gizrak and the lead wizard. The fuse spat a thick plume of white smoke as it burned. Gizrak looked up to the face of the wizard, which had twisted from haughty disgust to primal fear. And then the smoke from the fuse stopped. Uh-oh, Gizrak managed to say a split second before a massive explosion shook the battlefield. Mug trudged back toward the encampment. He hated walking. He noticed another fire on his arm. How many fires were there? He patted it out with one meaty hand. He hated fire. Finally, he reached the outskirts of the camp. He hated camp. Mepley ran out from his tent. "Ack!" Mepley shouted. "Mug, what happened? He blew himself up, didn't he? He blew everyone up, didn't he?" Mug only nodded. "Mug need a new boss." Mug hated bosses. Thank you for listening. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss the next story. Story number 18, To Seek is to Dream, by Wesley Youngren.